I am now 4 months pregnant with my husband, who I divorced just recently. It's so weird. I got pregnant 3 weeks after the divorce. Now we live together again. He is 27. I am 38. I have 2 children. My son lives with his father. My daughter lives with us. We live at my place. I rent a second apartment. He is a programmer and earns more than my income about 5 times. We both look good. We may have an age mésalliance, and financially not in my favor. With his arrival, my life changed very dramatically. I met Christopher in April last year, and within a week we were already planning to get married. A month later, we got the papers done. He immediately offered me to quit my job. I gladly agreed, because I went to this job because the money from renting the apartment and that gave on the daughter of her father constantly lacked. He suggested that he would give a certain amount so that I would be at home, feed him home-cooked food, and he could work in peace. Because at first he did not leave me alone, even to the store always together. My problem is that I completely changed my life and the former supports are no longer there and new ones have not appeared. I now have a poor understanding of who I am as a person. A lot of unpleasant things have started to happen between us. I am very stressed out when we fight. I get angry. At some point, I don't want to live. Then everything goes away and we reconcile, but I feel that I react too strongly, that it destroys me. For example, an important place in my life was friendship and all kinds of joint activities with my friends. I had a good social circle, many creative people of our city. With close friends, we did yoga together, went to the theater, to all sorts of workshops, often went to the nature, in general, harmoniously existed. But my friends he immediately sharply disliked. One day we were walking and met my closest friend with her boyfriend. Christopher began to ask who it is. I told him that she lives with her husband and children, but meets with this guy, that her husband knows, and so they agreed. After hearing this, he said that he does not want to see any of my friends in our house. They are all immoral. And if they think it's okay, he has a different opinion. Then it turned out that I cannot communicate with people of the opposite sex. And I know a lot of people in our city. I once asked him if I had to say hello to everyone. When a guy I know was dropping off a thing I gave him, I came out to him and told him not to come here anymore. Can you imagine? He wanted to keep everyone away from talking to me. Naturally, I did not like his attitude to my circle. I stood up for what was mine. Is this hyper-parenting on his part? Christopher turned out to be a radical introvert, and in his picture of the world, love and marriage is a compartmentalized union. Or he wanted to save me from bad girlfriends and dangerous relationships. This is where the rift between us began. I was in close contact with my friends, but I prioritized relationships with the prospect of a family. When it was just the two of us, I was very happy. Finally, I have a normal relationship with a man who sleeps with me, walks, lives, plans, gives gifts, trips, dinners, and so without interruption. He works from home and is not going anywhere, no doubts about anything. He has no friends of his own. His communication is only with his mom, with whom he lived before me. The problem started when someone else appeared in our field. My attempts to maintain the former way of life, which included communication with friends, led to strong quarrels. I minimized communication, saw people only at sports. A close friend had a strong grudge against me because Christopher did not say hello to her, did not let her visit, although in her house I was always welcome, fed and welcomed in every possible way. and I practically cut off communication with her. She was the trigger for the rift between me and Christopher. But Christopher should not be labeled an abuser. There is no such thing. We both probably have extremes, and we're both probably trying to bend each other in some way. I'm too outgoing and Christopher is too detached. At first, I was very content to be so much loved, appreciated, jealous, patronized. But soon it became too much, and soon we became dissatisfied with each other. He started forbidding me a lot of things. He tried to convince me to stop partying, fought for a normal marriage in his understanding, was ready to invest. That's why we got divorced. Once there was a group sports activity in the countryside, after which we were going to have breakfast in the countryside. Christopher and I had a big fight the night before, and I said that he could not forbid me, and if he wanted to, let him go and everything in that way. Afterwards, we had a very big fight too, as he started to take revenge on me for that fight, and that I went after all. The revenge was harmless, but very unpleasant. And then I dragged him for divorce, saying that I didn't intend to be his wife anymore after that. He tried to dissuade me, but I was adamant. I said that he cannot do anything here, and if he wants to keep friendly relations, we need to go to each other to meet. We filed for divorce, then we reconciled. But right before the date of the divorce, we had another big fight because of my communication with my ex-husband about the children. He also started to say something about my children, like they reminded him of my past. But then I immediately said that my children were my priority, and if he didn't like them, he should leave right away. At this point, I was a rock, and he, stepping over himself, began to communicate with them. Now the relationship is good with the kids. The divorce did happen, and I exhaled. But although he moved into a rented apartment, decided to live nearby, wanted to meet, as I promised to be friends if he quietly divorced. Once there was an incident, after which with friends stopped communicating completely. And having found out where we are sitting with friends, celebrating my divorce, Christopher came to us and ruined the evening. I had to leave to stop this scene. He was probably offended by the fun divorce celebration and the coven about it. He came to watch, but flipped out and got into a confrontation with his girlfriends. A friend said she was afraid of him, and I had to choose. It was either him or her. I decided to stop talking to everyone to keep him from socializing with me as it was too much. Before that, he beat up an innocent ex-boyfriend of mine in the street for texting me and sitting in a coffee shop under our windows. I tried to convince him that he needed to switch and meet someone else, and I would not see anyone else for a while so that the breakup would be gentle. I got a job online at a recruiting agency, became a recluse. The next day he was already on a date, and I felt the pain of jealousy. In addition, it turned out that this girl I know, she is young, teaches dance and plastic. It turned out that he found himself a beautiful dancer. She immediately on the same day did not sleep with him as I did, and they began to communicate and go out together. We also communicated constantly online. He invited me to his place, showed me how he organized the household in the new apartment. We went together for appliances and plates, chose appliances. Sometimes I came to him in the afternoon, and we worked side by side. That's why I know the nuances of their communication. He also invited her to his place, but as he says, it did not come to sex with her. But we did. I must say that he is very handsome. In school was fond of bodybuilding. Now not a jock, but the figure is athletic, tall blonde with a dramatic angle of the jaw. I guess it was the jealousy in me. I didn't want to give him to someone else. When he came on the first date with me, I thought what a prince, and handsome, and a worker, and on the car. But in communication, he made an impression of danger. It became clear that he's not a sugar daddy. I even thought about how to get away from him, so as not to continue the evening, but under a beer we talked, and I just thought then be what it will be. It was strange that he was lonely, although he said he wanted a serious relationship. I thought we were just going to have sex, but he just wouldn't leave me afterwards. Actually, he's comfortable with me, except for my love of partying, old and new acquaintances, slutty girlfriends, and flaming exes. But he is difficult to get along with people, most likely, and with me he was easy and calm, since he once came and stayed. With his new girlfriend, his socializing went downhill, and we started spending more time together after the divorce. Often there was sex between us, during which I warned him I could get pregnant. He said he wanted to. Then there was another fight. I don't remember why, and we didn't talk until I told him there were signs of pregnancy. We waited to take a test and went out together again. In the end, the test showed pregnancy. After a while, we had another big fight. I don't remember why. We went together for a checkup. It turned out to be twins. He was very happy about it. After a while, he moved back in with me. I stopped working. I had severe toxicosis, and I had to take care of Christopher again. We also periodically quarrel. Then I do not like his behavior. Then he said something wrong. Then I am jealous of a colleague. Then he was delayed at the relatives and did not warn. Now I have a lot of complaints against him. At these moments I go crazy. I said I would have an abortion. I constantly broke off the relationship. Then it's embarrassing because I yell and say mean things. I guess I'm the crazy one. Or am I afraid of the birth of twins, of the load that will increase? Maybe it's some kind of fear of the future? And I get upset about everything and I yell. When we fight, I feel bad, scared, and most importantly, I feel worthless. Because I'm older and most importantly, I have no job, no interests, no life. I just feel like an incomprehensible sissy, all closed on him. I'm just his housewife, cook, and I have a growing belly. My own personality is incomprehensible to me now. When I carried my first child, I was trained, was absorbed in pedagogy, got a diploma. With a child together, led groups for moms and children up to 3x years. With my second pregnancy, I also studied the same way. I led groups to prepare for childbirth. Then I changed activities depending on my hobbies. Always some courses, some interests. But now I'm completely empty. It feels like a concrete ceiling over my head, hopeless. I feel hunger for information, constantly flipping through all kinds of tapes, even stopped watching movies, books to listen to, just all not interesting. Every day this moment gnaws at me. There are so many opportunities to learn and work online in any mode, but I just have a stupor. Christopher says it's not my thing and I'll never have a proper career. I'll only be nervous and tired. But I can see that I'm also starting to annoy him with my worthlessness, and I'm starting to think that he's being inappropriate with me, that as soon as he meets a young designer at work, he'll see my worthlessness. And I flare up at every occasion, driving myself into hysterics. Hysterical. Maybe I should find a sedative that I can take during pregnancy. And since the decision was made to give birth, now it is necessary to hard-willed decision to turn off all thoughts about the future, relax, and keep a good mood, in order to give birth to healthy children and not to get really serious problems for the next few years. I have to hand over all the worries about the future to God and do a very narrow sphere, within limits, comfort myself, relax, eat well, get enough sleep, walk in the fresh air, maintain peaceful relationships, prepare for motherhood. read and watch how embryos develop, maybe make some content on this topic myself. My dream right now is for my kids to be okay, but just as important is to do something about this resource hole. It's killing me. But now there is no opportunity to engage seriously in other resources before labor. All this should be postponed until the moment when the conditions will be favorable. In the meantime, if I do, it should be lightly, prioritizing new children. I also want to build a good family with Christopher because he tells me that he also wants us to do well. After all, he fought for marriage and was so excited about kids, not even scared to have two at once. Yeah, and he took my older kids in too. Everything seems to be in place for this, but I see the resentments and hurts building up. They're destroying our relationship. I see the root of all the problems in my personal unrealization, but there is a dead end. When the kids are born, I'll get involved in sports. Right now, I'm afraid of sports because we lost our first pregnancy with Christopher in the summer, and I assume it could be because of too much summer sports. Sports used to get me out of all my life crises, but now it's impossible. That's how I'm thrown. I'm filled with emotions, but I want to build a good family. How do you build relationships with people? Do you have difficulties? Share. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. There are many more interesting stories to come. Thank you.